still pay taxes. They don't pay taxes to the local councils where the businesses are based. They continue to pay taxes to Douala and to Yaoundé. Of course, I can go on and on, but it will only mean repeating the requiem you already know. But the question I ask all of us today is, are we angry enough? Are we angry, really angry enough over this loot and injustice done to us? I don't think so. I really don't think so. On top of all of this, close to 60,000 of our people have been killed, making the case for justice. Think about the other thousands languishing behind bars just for demanding same justice. If we are truly angry enough, again, if we are truly angry enough, we will all resolve to sit and observe nothing called 20th May celebrations in our territory. If we are angry enough, we will be spitting in their faces to let them know 20th May was a rape. If we are all angry enough, we will be figuring out each person on his own how to bring down anything and everything Cameroon in our territory, especially on the occasion of this 20th May, so that the world can know that we all detest the day they conducted that fraudulent referendum. If we are angry enough, ladies and gentlemen, we stay away from any ceremonial ground to send a message to the world that the southern Cameroon is no longer part of La République du Cameroon. If we are angry enough, we will all hide in the bushes to take down Cameroon military and supporters from attempting anything 20th May in our territory. How do we allow them to fraudulently conquer us and then get us to join them celebrating it? From an ant to an elephant, we must resist Cameroon's 20th May so that the world gets the message that the problem isn't the diaspora. The problem is Cameroon. Ambazonians on the ground, on ground zero, please detest anything Cameroon. Do not only stay home as we have called for a lockdown. You can block the streets and the roads. You can waylay their army and gendarmes too. You can entrap their enablers also. Look out for their senators. Look out for their parliamentarians, their chiefs, their mayors, and their councillors. Look out for them. Their cultural groups also. Every facilitator of this occupation and injustice should not be spared. One thing is sure, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, that was a powerful one from the president there, and allowed that monologue. It was a great one. This talk about 20th May celebration in Cameroon has been a historical issue, and some of our people just don't understand why they are marching. When we were young, we did not even know why we were marching. You know, we just went to the field, we put on our uniforms, going out and march. But now that we understand the implication, and we're trying to sensitize our people about the importance of 20th May, about the reason why they should not celebrate this day, because it's not a day to celebrate. Okay? As you've heard from the analysis, this day is a day of annexation. You cannot celebrate a day where you have been annexed or assimilated. So when you hear the history of the root causes of the problem, so many things are intertwined. Okay, we are the only country where they grant you independence and they give you two choices. Do you wish to become independent by joining another country? And they give you independence, they don't give you third option. And when people are saying that most of the other things that they're saying, this 20th May is something that we have to think about. Okay, I know people say history, we should not talk about history, we should talk only about yeah, there are times that you have to think this 20th May 1972 was the day when Ahijo finalized our assimilation. Biya continued with it in 1982, 10 years after. Until today, we are still fighting because of this fake referendum that was held by the Cameroon government. That is why we are trying to say that annexation was number one thing that sealed this governance of Ahijo. So he organized a fake referendum that finalized the so-called unitary state. Okay, and when you see all those things, remember that when we joined these people, we never had a Northwest and Southwest. It was Southern Cameroon. So when we joined them in this their own union, that is when they coined that our area. They coin it now that Northwest and Southwest. Okay, this was their own way to divide and rule us. Okay, they did not want us to be one entity, and that is why they have used certain politicians, they have used a lot of people to do the divide and rule game for them. Okay, when they use that, they'll go now to different places. They say, oh, the fighters are only from Northwest. They'll use this guy called Moja. And he will go and arrest someone and say, you see, these are all the Northwesterners coming to fight here, and this and that and that and that. Those are just things that that's a system that La Republic has been using. Divide and rule. That's how it is. Okay. All these people who call themselves black legs are the people that La Republic has succeeded to convince. Okay. Or some of them, they have families who are ministers. They have those people. So they just want to hang on to them, and because they are getting from the system. They don't care. Those are the kind of people who don't even want them to even come to pass during the voting of the referendum. We don't even want them, because those are the people who are enabling the system. We don't have this francophone system of SDOs and DOs and all this. All these are people who are selected by the government. We have a system that any county, any LGA has its elected members. The House of Chiefs, these are elected and respectful honorables. They are being respected in their region. The other day we saw one phone who went missing. Then we saw the La Republic government, the rogue military come and seal the doors and everything. Is that not, what kind of country is that they are the one to choose our own chiefs and phones, whereas it's not supposed to do like that. The villagers are there to know who to choose, not the government. Since when did the government started
appointing real chiefs, not the chiefs that have some funny place they call their village. Since then, how many? So let's know of the system that like probably is using all this police brutality, harassment, checkpoint upon checkpoint. These are the tools they are using. Okay, now they have what they call land grabbing in areas where our people have fled. They don't have, some are just all over the place, But what do we really think about that? There is land grabbing. There is what we call, even the companies, the taxes are being paid in La République Douala. Some taxes are being paid in Yaoundé. The local population don't even see anything. Okay, all their resources are being swindled to Yaoundé Douala. So it just baffles me. But when you see a La République people doing things, what do you think? This guy is from La République, right? But he's saying that the people of Norwest and Southwest are smelling. That they don't even listen to this guy. I'll translate it in French.
J'ai fait un constat depuis un certain temps que quand vous entrez dans un taxi, d'abord, premièrement, les taximans, certains taximans sont d'abord trop sales, ils dégagent de la mauvaise odeur. En plus de cela, les autres passagers en commun sont très sales. La plupart, ce sont les femmes. Et beaucoup plus les femmes et les filles qui sortent du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Donc, de renavant, moi, je vais agir comme un animal parce qu'il est inadmissible que tu entres dans un taxi. Non seulement la femme, elle est trop sale, elle dégage une mauvaise haleine. L'hygiène corporelle n'est pas respectée. C'est comme ça qu'elle pose ses mains sur votre vêtement n'importe comment. Donc, de renavant, il faudrait qu'on tire la sonnette d'alarme. Parce que le taxi, c'est un lieu qui doit être propre. C'est un lieu où on doit transporter. Le taximan doit même choisir le type de client qu'il doit transporter dans son véhicule. Parce que ce n'est pas le tout venant. Les gens ne vont pas venir saturer Yaoundé. Ça devient une promiscuité absolue. Si vous n'avez rien à faire là, vous rentrez. Vous allez travailler les champs au village. C'est vrai, on dit qu'il y a la guerre là-bas, mais c'est vous-même qui avez organisé cela. Donc, assumez les conséquences. Ne venez pas déranger les gens. Parce que tout à l'heure, avant de revenir là, à la maison, là, vraiment, j'ai souffert. J'étais obligé d'être vraiment... Je sais pas, bizarre, parce que les gens te posent les mains dessus comme ça, c'est quoi ça? Avec le chlamydia qui a pignon sur rue, et les IST, la gonocoxie, avec la sueur des gens, les menstrues des femmes, elles déposent ça partout là. Ça dégage. Et le taximan lui-même, quand il sourit un peu comme ça, tu vois comment son haleine dégage comme les WC traditionnels. Là, on ne peut pas quand même aussi continuer à être dans un pays où tout le monde... C'est quoi ça? Donc vraiment, il faudrait que ces taximens-là, c'est pas, je ne vous manque pas de respect, mais c'est tout simplement un coup de gueule que j'adresse à votre endroit. Vraiment, quand même. C'est quoi ça? Et les femmes même aussi, les hommes même. Comment ta femme peut avoir les aisselles, c'est-à-dire que les poils sont déjà, je ne sais pas, comme une touffe d'herbe. Tu ne demandes pas d'aller raser ça. Le rasoir Big, c'est 100 francs. Toi-même, tu fais ça à sa place. Et tu achètes des citrons, tu essaies d'imbiber ça dessus. Vous couchez avec des femmes comme ça, vous sucez même les bouches avec des pourris dents comme ça. Mais dis donc, oh là là, mon Dieu. Il faut voir quand celle-là ricane. Tu vois une belle fille, elle est brune. Mais quand elle ouvre la bouche, qu'elle rit, c'est comme le hérisson là. C'est pourri comme les caramels brûlés. Oh. Avec l'arrivée des Chinois, il y a même les pâtes le dentifrice frélaté là. Vous ne devez même plus être sale dans ces pays. Il y a des savons antiseptiques là qu'on vend en 100 francs partout. Là, achetez-les et utilisez-les. Le citron, ça détruit tout ça. Quand ça ne va pas, toi-même, l'homme, tu prends la brosse à dents, tu mets un peu de dentifrice, tu brosses ta femme. C'est comme ça que vous dormez sur des draps qui... Mais attends, même si on vous jette dans un océan, même les poissons vont refuser de vous manger parce que vous êtes trop crasseux. Et c'est beaucoup plus les gens du Noun, les filles du Noun et ceux du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Ils viennent envahir Yaoundé comme ça, là. Tout le monde veut dire qu'il est à Yaoundé, on est venu chercher la vie à Yaoundé. Mais entretenez-vous. Tu vois une femme, elle attache le pagne avec un paquet de fesses comme ça, elle n'a pas un sous-vêtement dessus. Et c'est comme ça que quand elle s'assoit, les fesses sont déjà mouillées avec le pagne partout, ça reste sur le siège. Et tu viens, tu poses ta main dessus. Et le sale taximan même ne va même pas laver le véhicule. On ne peut pas continuer quand même comme ça dans ces pays. On va même vous éduquer jusqu'où. Et quand on va parler, vous allez dire qu'on demande aux gens de rentrer chez eux. Vous dérangez. Même les porcs, même aujourd'hui, ne sont plus sales comme vous. Comment une femme, tu peux avoir, tes aisselles peuvent être remplies de poils, comme une touffe d'herbe. Toi-même, tu n'as pas honte que quand tu marches, même tu vois comment ça mousse. Le vêtement est déjà tacheté comme si, je ne sais pas, comme si on dans un abattoir où on égorge les bœufs. Et quand elle te voit, elle ne bouge pas. Elle pose sa sale main sur toi comme ça. Et quand tu lui demandes, madame, vraiment, asseyez-vous, tu ne peux pas prendre un tasse et sa bouche là dégage, tu peux vomir. Je suis obligé de prendre soit un mouchoir, lotus, je mets au niveau de mes narines. C'est quoi ça? Mais j'espère que d'ici la fin de l'année, Dieu va me donner une voiture. Parce que ça, vraiment, il ne faut pas continuer. Il ne faut pas venir avec des sales gens comme ça. Là. Et tu rentres le soir, tes enfants vont aller t'embrasser après avoir touché le chlamydia des gens. Voilà un peu ce que je voulais dire. Parce que les femmes dérangent. C'est comme ça qu'elles sont des escrocs, des menteuses, des malhonnêtes, des stupides, des vaurariennes. Elles ne veulent pas travailler. On les tue partout là parce que l'infidélité. Hein? Vous partez de Bamenda, de Boya partout, vous venez remplir Yaoundé. Parce que vous voulez dire que vous êtes à Yaoundé. Comme Yaoundé même est sale. Vous êtes à l'image même de la ville. On te voit avec le paquet de fesses, tu es brune. Donc tu soulèves le pagne comme ça là. Elle a 18 couleurs. Les filles du Noun. Les hommes même qui montent sur vous même là. Je comprends pourquoi il y a trop de séropositifs dans ces pays, des gens qui souffrent du chlamydia. C'est quoi ça? Même la brosse à dents. Même si ça ne va pas, vous prenez le charbon. Ou le savon macabo. C'est quelque chose d'aussi esthétique qui est très puissant pour dégager la mauvaise haleine. Hein? Comment une femme peut avoir la mauvaise haleine? C'est pas sérieux. Et nous qui aimons sur les bouches là, j'ai pris du recul. Tu une femme rit. Hein? Elle te dit, pardon, chez nous là on a le mal des dents. Ça ne se soigne pas. Donc il n'y a que dans votre famille qui a le mal des dents. Vraiment, comme tu vois là chez nous là c'est héréditaire. D'autres te disent c'est radical. C'est quoi ça? Qui sont même ces femmes là? Et vous là, vous allez les voir là, elles marchent là en route là, les paquets de fesses comme les tonnes de sacs de ciment. Il faut voir c'est le sous-vêtement. Comme le robot. Vous allez venir faire la gueule. Je suis à Yaoundé. Je suis à Yaoundé. Je suis à Yaoundé. C'est ça être à Yaoundé. Donc vraiment les chefs, les tassimans, vraiment essayer de revoir. Donc c'était un peu ça que je voulais parler. Parce que moi je ne m'amuse pas avec l'hygiène. Ça honnêtement. Voilà. Parce que j'ai investi beaucoup sur moi. Je n'aimerais pas qu'on me donne une maladie corporelle là. Pardon.
This guy Kimo love. That guy is terrible. I just watched this guy. I was just laughing because you know when you complain about people who are trying to make ends meet, you are this is the pride and this kind of proud for nothing people. Make a talk for pigeon. Make una understand. This guy na man we no get motor. He dey talk say people wey they enter the taxi for Yaoundé. Na the dirty smelling Amazonian them. He talk say this so say they enter taxi, say taxi them when they carry this dirty Amazonian them. It is make the motor become so dirty. Taxi them. So even most of the taxi men for Yaoundé now Amazonian them. Say this so they are mob the smell. If they talk for yourself, you know you go yeah. So so this guy that's a fool because he says no get motor, you know. You know, say when some man be too proud, moto you know get them. He talk for this say, he pray may God give moto at the end of the year. He never ever drive moto for your life. But you can't talk about people where then they pay 100 to a taxi with you. The real proud man no go enter taxi. Proud man no enter taxi. But you know get moto, you dey complain for taxi. I never see me that kind of irony. If you don't get money, stay quiet. No, they complain because you don't get money for buying motor. Enter that same taxi with people. Man, we even get money, we get a motor safe. If I enter taxi, you go pay all seat. All. So they pay taxi. You know, enter taxi where you don't forget motor. Yeah, you pray say God will help you motor. You make high man. I call it high man. You make high man. We don't get motor. He make high man for enter taxi. He say put it this man inside motor. Pride, proud for nothing. Now they put in the way to make that country so one man go rule for 40 years. They don't get time. They get time now for they make noise about taxi. Two will be important. But they leave one president there for. Then they talk say Yaoundé. So no see country the way they choose, all countries they choose the city where they will make their capital. If Yaoundé no be the capital, that will never be so. Capital where you go, you know see no better thing. Make they can put it so now can put away they don't be for Yaoundé. The Russians say they don't make their place capital. The one so they'll go it make it noise on a bit. I don't know whether that's their job the way they give them for Yaoundé. That Betsy Bolo put them. They know they make money even for buying motor. And I then get power. Man go be for power 40 years. You know if it do nothing. Then they leave it there. It says they look at occupy Yaoundé. They get lucky. Some president go come for that country. He go move that capital for Bafoussam. I was situated that like people will do. Lazy Yaoundé people. When president will come there, he go sign this thing. They will move capital. No, they move capital then for place the country. Yaoundé. One neighbor them for here. No, Nigeria na way they don't give them. They will figure Lagos. That way Lagos cover be saturated. They move capital send out a different place. Now see if for America here they will do the same thing for New York. New York, the capital was New York City. That way they come over tight. They move capital for New York State. They send out for Albany. Albany now be the capital of New York. So the road down plenty places, you know. Like for Nigeria, the Abuja na been at the new capital city. The build from scratch. So, you don't make any issue, but this guy just be foolish, right? He just talk nonsense, talk some kind of thing them. The two is strike me and say, you no get motor. He the blast taxi men them. He the blast passenger them when Southern Cameroon and them. He the coach them say na they start war, may they go back from Amazonia, which they can't do for Yaoundé. They can't flop Yaoundé because smell for inside taxi, like rat them, they dog them like this. You know. So now the thing we would already talk. Sometimes when we talk, they will talk say these people them whether they call me whether they name them, they call this, they call that. Okay. It's not about us. Okay. It's not about us. It's not about us. Most of the time people they only bring this argument about different things, but it's not about us. It's about the struggle, how to see the different path. Okay, how we can make this happen, how we can win this thing. Okay. Let me bring the other monologue from the okay. Make we listen to the president second monologue. They will be right back.
Come to you with the subject of this referendum that we are asking for today. Please Do not touch your remote. The least you can, anything you want to do, all you can do is to hit your share button while I come back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put in there. At this moment, I will take you into my second talking point for tonight, which I titled The Struggle Turning Partisan, assuming a partisan character. And this is emerging out of the announcement a week ago of a meeting in Washington, D.C., in which yours truly was part, coming out with a statement supporting a referendum for our cause. For 6 years and counting, Ambazonians have been saying they want help from the international community to bring the current conflict to an end. But at a time when we see such help about coming our way, we find some among us who would do anything and everything to sabotage it, to see it fail. 2 weeks ago, some of us gathered in Washington, D.C. at the behest of the Hudson Institute, and we came out with a joint statement calling for a referendum that should quickly bring this conflict to an end. Why the overwhelming population of Ambazonia welcomed the idea with lots of excitement too. We have seen what I would describe as partisan hackers pushing so hard to persuade Ambazonians from accepting the idea of a referendum. They have argued that negotiations ought to be the way and the only way in that matter to end the conflict. When the argument fails to gain traction, they say a plebiscite perhaps, should be the thing, the secret. In the midst of this flip-flopping, they organize a paid press conference, then buy robots on Facebook to watch them just so they come across as relevant, with the ultimate hope they are able to persuade Ambazonians to buy their narrative that no referendum is no good. The other fellow in Europe, hearing about the referendum initiative and in spite of the public endorsement of it, said over his dead body, would a referendum happen in Ambazonia? And he described the leaders who came up with the idea as chicken-hearted politicians, in quote, chicken-hearted politicians. We want Ambazonians to take particular note of a number of things about the referendum we are talking about. We do not have to persuade you. You are smart enough to decipher what is right and what is wrong, what is done in the national interest and what is done for self-interest. Don't expect me to be calling for a press conference to sell you the idea of a referendum, as some are trying to do, to dissuade you from it. If it is good, you will know. If it is a selfish idea, you also know. Such folks lack self-confidence in what they stand for, and they think that they must shout to your ears to believe them. We will not do that. Again, a number of things to take note of. Number one, we are not against negotiations. In fact, we stand for negotiations 200%. A mediation that is taken over or organized by the international community. But the argument that we must then wait for a negotiated settlement before we can talk about a referendum is very faulty. Very, very faulty. And I once believed in that argument. But the fact is that We are dealing with an enemy who is so vicious, who sees negotiations as a waste of time. They walked out of the Swiss process. They have said they didn't consult the Canadians to mediate on their behalf. And so they are not ready to go to Canada. So what is left? Sit and wait until they kill all of our people before we bring a different option to the table? Of course not. Of course not. The referendum is just another option on the table. With the referendum, we have essentially pinned La République du Cameroon at a very bad corner. If they reject a referendum, they cannot reject negotiations. And if they reject negotiations, let's see how they reject a referendum too. They are at a bad corner. If we can sell this referendum successfully, they will not be able to convince the international community why they shouldn't cooperate in any of the options. The referendum is the easiest route for La République du Cameroon to cut down the cost and their losses. The referendum provides them such a glaring opportunity to prove, as they say, that Ambazonians are in the diaspora and that Anglophones living on ground zero want a one and indivisible special status Cameroon. They have an opportunity to prove it. In fact, this is the time for Cameroon to prove special status is the right thing for Ambazonians by allowing for a simple vote by Ambazonians. Anything short of this will be tantamount to the highest form of hypocrisy. Let Cameroon put special status and independence to vote. If some of the leaders out there were not all just about power and themselves, they would realize that the referendum idea only adds value and avenues for the attainment of our goal. Take this to the bank. Cameroon is not going to sit on any negotiation table to concede to Ambazonia. We should be smart. The most they can do is suggest a federation of some kind. Instead of opposing a referendum, how about the simple idea of putting it on the table for a vote? Stay away from partisan hearts or partisan leaders. We have no country yet. And when I hear leaders who should be freedom fighters describing others as chicken-hearted politicians, I very much begin to wonder what they are in this struggle for. When some leaders begin to see everything wrong in an idea just because it is not originating from their camp, I begin also to wonder who they are fighting for. Anyone, ladies and gentlemen, anyone leader who is against what the majority of the people want is no longer fighting for Ambazonia. They are fighting for their own personal gains. They are fighting to remain relevant. That is what they are fighting for. Relevance. Relevance is the word. They are fighting just to take the lead and go to Boya as president so, and so. That is their business. That's what they are in here for. Let's follow ideas that free our land and our people, not men who want just power and control at all costs. We have international partners who will help us push this referendum idea. I promise you that we will push it. We will push it until we get it. And I will never shy away from it, ladies and gentlemen. Now I take you back to my panel. Fine, I start from you. You were in Washington, D.C. at this event where the idea of a referendum was put on table. They
Yeah, fellow Amazonians, you've heard the excerpt there from the president who is trying to explain all the details there. There's a lot of controversy going on, and I think it's high time we understand that all revolutions, all wars, all crises did not end the same way. Okay, so if some of them think that the way this crisis end is the way they want Amazonian crisis to end, or the way this crisis was negotiated is the way Amazonian crisis should be negotiated, or the way the length of time that this crisis took is the same length of time they expect this. So there is no measurement, there is no competition, there is no gimmicks. If your own struggle is unique, it's unique. Okay, our own struggle is very unique. This is not a struggle about terrorists or rebels or whatever. This is a territory that is recognized already by the United Nations. So why should we be fighting a war in the first place when the international community is coming out to give us an option that we can just go for referendum? Even though our case is not the same, how many countries who are conducting referendum now go to war? They don't go to war, but they have a popular a majority. They have a population that sometimes they feel that this is time for us to leave, and they give them the opportunity to conduct their referendum. Okay, like the president said, referendum is one of the many options that we have. Okay, but if, like we always said, if this one comes first, for the past 3 years, you remember some of our leaders were in Switzerland waiting for La Republique for 3 years. See how many years we lost. But that did not stop the fighting. That is a thing that we have to understand. When negotiation is going on, the fighting doesn't stop. Referendum, okay? This particular referendum is the international community come to suggest. It's not any of the leaders. So these people think that if it's not them who initiated something, they will not attend. It is sometimes baffling, why we have people who think that this struggle is all about them. And that is what we have to condemn, because when we have a struggle like this one, okay, it is being conducted by people who are intellectuals. The meeting in Washington, D.C. was called by the international community. Pandangam attended. President Chris Ano attended. There was other members of government in the Ambazonian government like Mike Fusey, Sama Thomas. The NCNC was there, represented by Honorable Chairman Kometa. You cannot just sideline someone by claiming that, okay, people are asking questions. Those who advocate for referendum, they say they can't answer. Shall fighting continue while referendum is prepared, and if not, where? anything international community is in, first, this referendum will not concern La Republic citizens. They don't have any say about our decision. Okay, that's why we are saying that this referendum concerns Ambazonian people. Okay, it's a simple exercise. It's Ambazonia for Ambazonia. It has nothing to do with La Republic. Okay, because we are the people. You cannot decide someone's fate and you ask someone to come and conduct election as they did in 1972. That is why that mistake will not repeat itself. That mistake of 1972 will not repeat itself. And we are asking Ambazonians, this is an opportunity. Okay? And like negotiation, referendum, if you don't work, we continue fighting. These are options. That's why they say options. Because if you even listen to most of the people, referendum cannot hold without negotiation. That is one thing we have to understand. Referendum cannot hold without a negotiation. How can people be asking, shall fighting continue while referendum is prepared, and if not, where? Then the person say, shall the military, gendarmes, police, and administrator presently in Amazonia be or remain in the southern Cameroon or withdraw to the Republic? Of course, they will withdraw. The United Nations will be the one to conduct this thing. Okay, and they don't have any say. All the parties will still send representative and everybody will still work towards the same goal. So it has no issue. But they should not be making this thing very, very political. Okay. He asked another question again. These are messages that they are sending on my phone. I look this message, I say, oh my God. He asked the second one, where shall the ARF be on their faith throughout the year that a referendum is being prepared, say 5 years and above, shall remain in the bushes, go to DTI or referendum advocate, don't care about their faith. The thing is that referendum, okay, will be conducted. If people are asking this question who did not attend the conference, then the people who attended the conference said these discussions were discussed, and most of the leaders or all of the leaders were so into the referendum thing to end the crisis. Okay. Anybody who is condemning referendum and does not bring alternative to referendum doesn't make sense. Okay. Okay, for example, the differences between referendum and plebiscite. Okay. It's very clear that both are what we call election, okay, and or voting something. Okay, referendum phrasing of the voting, plebiscite the vote itself. Okay, referendum, the difference to referendum and a plebiscite. Referendum is held in a democratic environment. Okay. Plebiscite usually held in an undemocratic environment. Referendum gives option for accepting or rejecting any policy. Plebiscite is the vote on a question given to them, implies a change in sovereignty. Okay. Referendum can be initiated by the citizens. Citizen initiated referendum. Plebiscite only initiated by the authorities. Okay. Referendum, a stronger way to get opinion of the masses across. Plebiscite, a technique used by the government to legitimize any policy. So, you see, so plebiscite is being like a technique used by the government why should it be a technique? A referendum can usually empower the people. Good. Plebiscite usually empowers the government on the expense of the masses. So which one will you take? Will you go for referendum or will you go for the other options? Referendum and plebiscite, people will choose referendum over plebiscite. If you see the definitions here, okay, this is what we are talking about. So any objective reasoning will see that a referendum is better than plebiscite for Southern Cameroon to decide her fate. Okay. Let me play this excerpt from our brother Agbor Balla, who discussed this thing in one conference about referendum.
But because we have a government which really doesn't respond, lawyers had written about 4 memorandums to the state, documenting the problems that they face. But unfortunately, nobody responded to them. Nobody even acknowledged receipt of these documents. So in 2016, they decided to have a sit-in strike action. For 1 month, the Minister of Justice, the attorney, nobody responded to them. Then we decided that we would march in the street with our wigs and gowns to call the attention of the government. If they were really sleeping, they would realize that we mean business. But the lawyers were brutalized, they were beaten, they were dragged in the mud, their wigs and gowns were seized. As a result of that, teachers and students had to join them in protesting. But these were peaceful protests. But unfortunately, on the 17th of January, internet was disconnected in the English-speaking part of the country for 3 months. I don't know whether you can really figure out what it means for internet to be disconnected in part of the country for 3 months. And that's kind of collective punishment because it was disconnected. We've had the war in the north on Boko Haram, which has been going on for more than a year. At no point in time, internet was cut off. But because of the protests in English-speaking Cameroon, internet was cut off for 3 months. We were arrested, blindfolded, and cuffed, and they drove us for close to 10 hours, locked up in very dehumanizing conditions, and charged in front of a military tribunal. So during this period, when they had taken out the moderate leaders, the movement morphed into other groupings that had been existing, but they really did not have the voice. So now a platform had been created. The young people in Anglophone Cameroon who wanted change had created that platform, which we were just fortunate to be their leaders. But when we left, and because of the treatment that they had given to those who were clamoring just for federation and a better living condition in the legal and educational system, most people argue that if you were preaching for federation and you were facing the death penalty, I would rather preach secession and separation and equally face the same death penalty. So that is how positions hardened because of the way people were killed, the way people were arrested. That is how positions hardened to now we have a separatist move. But the government still had an opportunity to find a solution. It was still easy for them to at least try to address the problem. But at no point in time have they attempted in finding a solution to the crisis. When they released us on the 31st of August, it was a golden opportunity to release all those who were detained. But they choose to release 3 of myself. Justice Aya, who used to be a sitting Supreme Court justice, was arrested and detained for 7 months without any trial. But they released some of us and left the others in jail. So all these have hardened position in such a way that if you talk to the average person in Anglophone Cameroon, separation, it's now en vogue. Now the majority of the people would not settle for anything less than separation. The majority of the people now are asking for a referendum for them to determine their fate. But we still believe that something can still be done. notwithstanding the situation, we can at least have a dialogue. We can at least have a negotiated settlement. You know, the diaspora living in Canada also would have a role to play, you know, because they are very influential. They have the money, they have a voice, that we can involve them also in trying to see how we can find a holistic solution. So the problem cannot just be solved internally without including the diaspora. I'll give you an example. Cameroon has a way of blacklisting Cameroonians by birth who are out of the country. Yes, some of them might have a dual nationality, but we have Cameroonians who have arrived at the airport with a visa and they were sent back because they encourage descent abroad. We cannot solve the problems in Cameroon without addressing the issue of the diaspora. We need to find a way that we would grant amnesty or clemency to those who are living abroad, who have not been convicted, but who are in a blacklist by the government, meaning that there are people who have parents in Cameroon, their parents die, they cannot come to Cameroon for fear of being arrested. So if these people cannot come to Cameroon as we know, they would rather prefer to come to Cameroon, which is Ambazonia. So we believe that the government of Canada can do a lot in trying to create an enabling environment, in putting pressure on the government to call for a dialogue, and at best ask the people of Cameroon, ask the government to organize a referendum.
Yes, and thank you very much. Unfortunately, that is our time. I know we had a very limited time today, but thank you very much for your testimony before this committee, and thank you to the members for being here today. And with that, we adjourn the committee. Thank you.